the fates are cutting a thread. Right now, we are inside one of the most potent eclipse windows in recent memory. And on March 3rd, a total lunar eclipse in Virgo is going to illuminate exactly what that means for you personally. Now, this is a South Node eclipse, which means fate isn't asking you what you want to build. Fate is asking you what you're finally ready to lose. And here's the thing. The astrology of this moment is stacked. We have a stellium of planets flooding through Pisces, Mercury retrograde conjunct one of the darkest asteroids in the chart. The three sister goddesses of destiny woven into the very decan that the moon is falling in, and a shadow that we don't want to look at, but we absolutely have to. So this is not a gentle release eclipse, at least for the collective. This is the hammer and the anvil. This is the perfection alone. This is the woman in the garden who worked for everything she has, basking in her abundant crop, and finally asking herself, was it worth it? And what did I lose along the way? So today, I'm breaking down the full astrology of this total lunar eclipse in Virgo, the chart, the mythology, the shadow, the medicine. And I'm pulling also Akashic Oracle readings for every single sign. So if you've been feeling the weight of this season, if something in your life is clearly ending and you don't quite know how to let it go, stick with me because this episode is for you. Hello, I'm Venessa Rodriguez, clinically trained healer, Akashic channel, and guide for my healers, light workers, building the new earth from the inside out. I'm here for you. For over 15 years, I've walked this path between science and soul, supporting healers and mystics as they reclaim their gifts and align with their cosmic rhythms. And my approach to astrology is intuitive. I blend Hellenistic tradition with modern insight because I see this as a sacred art, a living map, one that really invites us back into relationship with the cosmos that we already have innately, but one that is alive, that is conscious, intelligent, and also always speaking. So if you are new here, welcome to the Future Wild podcast. And if you're watching over on YouTube, my channel, Wildly Rooted Spirit. And if you've been here, if you're an OG, then you already know. Let's get into it. By the way, quick disclaimer, I have been navigating this nasty cold. You probably hear it in my voice. I have been struggling, pushing off this episode, doing all the things, I'm doing all the things. But this one is really asking for my patience. And so I'm asking for your patience with my voice and with some moments if I need to clear my throat or pause. And so here we are. Now, speaking of this time, we are deep in this eclipse season, bookended by the annular solar eclipse that happened on February 17th at 28 degrees of Aquarius. And that I have an episode for. If you didn't tune into that, I would highly recommend. So you kind of have these bookends together. So go check that one out. And we have this upcoming total lunar eclipse, March 3rd. And this is happening at 12 degrees, but 52 minutes of Virgo. So almost 13 degrees of Virgo. Crucially, what is happening in between these two eclipses? Well, we also had a Saturn-Neptune conjunction at the 0 degrees point of Aries on February 20th. This was huge. Definitely once in a lifetime astrology going on here. And this is a massive reality check too. The dissolution of old leadership structures, top-down structures, and of old world, and the beginning of building something new. And so that energy has now shifted into Aries. In addition to this being a fire horse year in traditional, in Chinese, the Chinese New Year. So this fiery energy with this Piscean energy, that this stellium that we have, is very interesting in the beginning of this new year. So as I mentioned, this lunar eclipse is a South Node eclipse. And it's fundamentally about release. All eclipses carry beginnings and endings, but because obviously there is no beginning without an ending, there's no ending without a beginning. But this one really emphasizes what must be let go. We have a Pisces pileup happening. That's the dominant energy. So we have the Sun, Mars, Mercury, now retrograde, in the sign of their fall and detriment. By the way, I've already been blessed with all of the beautiful Mercury retrograde shenanigans that are available to us. I hope you are not as blessed in that way with these retrograde vibes. But we also have Venus and the North Node all in Pisces. Plus, we have a Jupiter exalted in Cancer. So these are 5 planets in water signs. So the water energy is very prominent in addition to this initiatory fiery energy that I talked about in the beginning. Now, Neptune just moved to the world axis point, Aries, and now 2 degrees. So moved through. The Neptunian themes are fully public. We see this. Neptunian themes include deception. So we see that being highlighted, obviously, in the media. And also anything that has to do with illusion, nebulousness, like we can't quite see the full picture, which also has been in play in terms of the dissemination of information and just like what is even real, in addition to AI, of course, and trying to discern what is real from what is AI created. Neptunian themes also include media in general and film and movies, but also spirituality and oneness consciousness, the liminality. On a mundane level, this can be connected with flooding and also drugs and poisoning. So interesting to see like how those weave in. And with Venus exalted in Pisces, we have this energy of Venus able to bring forth all that she desires, and she's upheld like the queen that she is in Pisces, of harmony and beauty and love through that Piscean nature and that sort of Christ consciousness energy, divine universal love, compassion for all beings. So we do have that going for us with this astrology so far. But we're going to dive a little deeper into Mercury, because this eclipse, a Virgo lunar eclipse, is ruled by Mercury. And so whatever Mercury's doing, wherever Mercury is, it's very important and relevant to the significations of this particular eclipse. And Mercury is retrograde in Pisces, the sign of their fall and detriment. And so not functioning at full capacity, right? But the way that I am really tuning into this is that this is an opportunity. Yes, there will be the annoyances, like all the tech and communication and travel stuff that we might typically see, and maybe worse than other times because of the fall and the detriment with Mercury here. However, there is something that I feel we're really being called to review on a deep, deep level. So I want you to imagine this. Imagine that you are in a riptide. And in Pisces, right, that ocean, the oceanic power and waves, the riptide that you did not expect, and it takes you. Rather than fighting against it, which will potentially lead to drowning, you don't need to swim against it. You surrender to it. You trust the process and let it carry you to wherever the current ends. That's the energy that I'm feeling with this eclipse. So it's going to require a level of surrender and faith and bestowing grace upon yourself and others, and Can you keep yourself afloat in a way that allows you to be swept to just the right place? Maybe it wasn't where you thought you were going, but it's taking you to a point where you look around and you're like, I never saw it from this vantage point or this perspective before. That, I feel, is part of the gift here with this. Now, we also have Pallas Athena at 12 degrees of Pisces in a tight conjunction with the sun. And who is Pallas Athena? She is none other than the daughter of Zeus, one of the daughters of Zeus, sprouted from the head of Zeus. So she is the mind, the creative intelligence, expansive thinking. It was conjunct the North Node at the last eclipse. So we're bridging these stories together, right? She was conjunct the North Node in the last eclipse. And now she's moved into a conjunction with the sun. Also, in Greek mythology, Apollo, her brother, is connected with solar energies and the sun god. So this is interesting, this mythic story that's continuing and evolving here. And again, I encourage you to tune into the Aquarius eclipse episode that I had so you can kind of bridge these stories together. And then we have Jupiter also exalted in Cancer, also in a water sign at 15 degrees of Cancer, and conjunct this fixed star Sirius, trining, so making a harmonious aspect to the sun and Pallas Athena, that conjunction, and trining Mercury retrograde. So these are beautiful, harmonious aspects and this trine energy, despite Mercury's weakness. So there's something about reviewing deeper emotional, spiritual themes and material in your life held in the sacred waters of our consciousness with Pisces and Cancer. So there is something really fortuitous and beautiful with these aspects, even with some of the detriment energy and some of the darker energy that I'm about to get into in just a moment. But before I continue, I want to share something that landed in perfect timing with everything that we are moving through right now. My friend and teacher, Seja Popham, from the School of Evolutionary Herbalism, has just released the first of 3 lessons in what he's calling an astro-herbalism mini course. And while it's free, Seja does not do fluff. In true Seja style, this is just pure, deep, extraordinary teaching that he is putting out into the world this week. And it's free. So the first lesson is all about bridging astrology and herbalism and really revealing the map that connects humans and the elements, the planets, and the grand cosmology of nature. And if you've ever felt overwhelmed trying to piece all that together from all the different traditions, Western herbalism, Ayurveda, TCM, folk medicine, this is the unified framework that you've been looking for. The one that makes everything else suddenly make sense. That's at least how I experienced it when I first came across Seja's teachings many, 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 many moons ago. 2 more lessons are on the way. They're dropping this week, and they're only available for a short time for this week. So Seja himself is in the comments. He's answering questions, which is really rare and I think is worth showing up for. The link is in the show notes. You can also go to wildlyrooted.com/mini course, one word, and go watch lesson 1 and come back here. Tell me what landed for you. I would love to know. This is, I think, so perfect and beautiful with everything that's happening. It's part of my mission also is remembering our true nature in connection with the cosmos, feeding our wild, which is the wild nature of everything, of astrology and the plants and our bodies and it all. So check that out, wildlyrooted.com/mini course. And all links that I ever mention are always in the show notes. Okay, so now coming back to this energy of the eclipse and this Pisces stellium. What I want to mention with this is that this moon, this lunation of the eclipse is in very rich territory when we look at the degree in the decan. So that the wheel, the astrological wheel, is, you could say, cut up into pies and 3 decans per sign. So this moon at 12 degrees, 52 minutes of Virgo is happening in the second decan of Virgo. And this decan is co-ruled by Venus and Saturn. Now, Virgo is described in traditional texts as modest and devotional and noble, a good steward, a seeker of mystic lore. Judith Hill calls Virgo the dutiful donkey, a highly intelligent, herd-oriented animal, so for the community. No, dutiful donkey is not a sleight of hand or anything like that. It actually is a compliment. Austin Coppock calls this particular decan the Hammer and the Anvil. And Susan T. Chang calls it perfection alone. So the tarot card that is connected with this particular decan is the 9 of Pentacles. Now, if you're not familiar with the 9 of Pentacles, it is a beautiful, lush card. It's a woman in her garden and reaping the fruits of her labor. It's connected with abundance and ripeness and material satisfaction, deep connection with earth and animals. And yet she's alone. This is not a card about doing, like getting shit done or doing anything. She's already arrived. Like when you look at the picture in this energy, it's just like, here I am. And there is no efforting, right? So it's really more the efforts of the first decan of Virgo that we see are now paid off. And so there's this like a vibe of abundance, and that's where Venus comes in, this beauty and nourishment. And Saturn being connected with building and structure and independence. So earning your harvest through disciplined effort and structure is really sort of a message here. But Venus is in fall in Virgo because it's opposite her exaltation point, because we know Venus is exalted in Pisces. So opposite in Virgo, that means she's in her fall. So she receives what she's been seeking here, but it's kind of like she has to comb through the details, or she in order to get it, she has to get through minutia and stuff that maybe she didn't have to before, she doesn't really want to, rather than it being given to her on a silver platter as it would in Pisces, for example. So this is an interesting energy, and I feel a question that comes up here is, what must you surrender or lose or admit to in order to gain, in order to experience that abundance? And what do you lose? What do you lose when you gain? There's always some sort of cost. And of course, we can look at it in terms of sacrifice, or it's just, it's just the cost of a gain and inconsequential. It really depends on your perspective. But what I am getting with this decan and this energy is that there is the fear of what one might lose when you get what you want, or the reality of having lost something after pursuing something and achieving it. So notice, are you moving toward goals that are truly aligned with your heart at a soul level in which you really desire? Or are you going to reach the top and then ask, is this all there is? I hear that so often from people who maybe like were climbing a corporate ladder or had goals, like financial goals, and then they reached them. And then they're like, oh, wait, that sense of something that I was seeking, maybe fulfillment, pleasure, joy, ultimate joy, wasn't there, right? And so really taking a look at what was I seeking and what will fulfill that for me. Maybe it wasn't what I thought it was in terms of an external goal. Maybe it's something else. So I feel that this eclipse and this lunation is really bringing that question forth for you. Now, there are deities connected to the second decan of Virgo. And I dropped a hint at the very beginning of this episode. But the Morai, the Fates, Clotho the Spinner, Lachesis the Alater, Atropos the Inevitable, the three fates who control the thread of life for mortals and gods alike. Now, in Hesiod's theogony, the fates are the daughters of Nyx, the dark, uncontrollable nature of fate and the cosmos. And if you tuned into the last episode, there's another thread woven between these eclipses. Nyx, the asteroid Nyx, was conjunct the North Node and Venus at the last solar eclipse. And now the Morai, the three fates, close that thread here. So that story also has continuity and I think is so fascinating. Again, maybe listen to these back to back. Go listen to the Aquarius solar eclipse and listen to this one and bring those together, those stories together. I think it really has a lot more to do with the collective, as eclipse energy, yes, of course, will have influence over our personal lives on an individual level, but we see it much more obviously on the collective stage, on the world stage. So we will see what all of these threads are weaving for us as a collective. So let's get into some of the more shadowy bits, shall we? Mercury. Oh, Mercury retrograde in their fall and detriment. Not only all of that, but one of the most striking placements that I'm seeing in this lunation, as the ruler of this lunation and eclipse, Mercury is also conjunct the asteroid Nessus in Pisces. Now, who is Nessus? Nessus is the centaur who sought revenge on Hercules. He is associated with deep trauma, abuse, sexual abuse, betrayal, intergenerational transfer of toxic patterns, and the shadow side of human behavior. All of that. If you want to look at it, the asteroid number for Nessus is 7066. So Nessus is this perpetrator archetype. And because of its mythological background, just if you're not familiar, Nessus was a centaur who poisoned Hercules after attempting to assault his wife. The asteroid is used to really look at and analyze patterns of behavior that are passed down or repeated, which aligns with this sexual predator energy here. And so this isn't just about, oh, dang, this is a dark placement. What I'm getting here is that this is about conjuring the courage to confront the most vile and uncomfortable realities that are being exposed right now in this time. Like the shit that we don't want to see, that we don't want to know or acknowledge, but it has to be seen, it has to be known, it has to be acknowledged. Now, Mercury retrograde in Pisces is this is a deep review and unearthing of all of this. Again, that Riptide is what taking us back? What is even happening? We have to surrender to that. And it's this continuation of the storyline from the Aquarius solar eclipse, even though technically they're on different axes, on a different axis. So there's something here, this tension and energy. We are being forced to confront some of the darkest aspects of what has already been going on. It's not like it's something new. And something that has been passed on generationally through our collective. But what's so interesting about this is that right alongside Nessus, Venus, exalted Venus in Pisces, is near Mercury. So there's this, it's like a healing balm is available as we do this unearthing, as we review and are confronted by this darkness and these shadows. And Jupiter in Cancer is sextiling the moon. So remember, an exalted Jupiter in Cancer is sextiling this moon. So even in a releasing South Node eclipse, I feel that Jupiter's exalted support is available to us. And it's a reminder of nourish yourself, take care of yourself, do the deep emotional work that is required and necessary. We have you, we're holding you. Venus is also sextiling Uranus in late Taurus. That Uranian energy continues to shake things up. Those shocks and shock waves, all, and the kind of revolutionary energy. And Venus rules Taurus. So they're in dialogue. They're definitely talking to each other and supporting each other. And Mercury is sextiling Uranus because we have this conjunction happening. So more is going to be revealed. More. Okay? So we need to take care of ourselves. And wondering where's Mars in this mix? Mars is in Pisces also, squaring Uranus. Okay, so Mars square Uranus, not necessarily fun energy, but it can be revolutionary energy. It can be kind of like a breakup, breakout, breakdown situation, but it's also freedom seeking and breaking from systems. So there's something here about that as well, and like so much with this Piscean energy. Now, I feel that when I tune into this energy and I'm looking at the chart, I feel like there might be some sort of feminine figure that rises, that is exalted in what gets revealed, because we have Venus exalted here, who's doing a lot of work. She's also co-ruling this decan. And then there's Pallas Athena, who is prominent right next to the sun, very visible, kind of sprouting in unexpected ways. And then we have the Morai, the three sister fates that are present and weaving this in. I feel like there's something about the divine feminine and a feminine figure or figures coming up in some way, being exalted, there's something about that. So I don't know what that is. We shall see, but I'm just dropping that here. Okay, so rounding out this bigger eclipse narrative, like where are we in this story? This really does feel like one of the last rounds on the Pisces Virgo axis, right before the nodes fully move into the Aquarius Leo axis, that will then usher in a new eclipse story entirely. This feels like the bridge story to that. Like it's a sequence of stories. And this eclipse, the consequences of this eclipse, you're going to feel it 1 month before and up to 6 months after the eclipse and this eclipse season. So we're in this window through the end of March. And just know that things might start to shift and change and arise within that time period. And as I mentioned, the continuation of the Aquarius solar eclipse storyline of truth, exposure, systemic upheaval, that is being threaded directly into this lunar eclipse. So we have collective themes across both sources of how this might play out. Well, revelations in your health. Virgo is very much connected with health, with the body, with habits. So there might be something on a personal note for you of like maybe some quote bad habits or habits that are not aligned with you and where it is that you desire to go. Those being released. This could also be related to perfectionist tendencies that you have, overworking tendencies for overwork, which is very much common for my Virgos, and something around communication patterns I'm also getting to with this. Communication patterns that were not serving you or will not serve you in the same way moving forward. So there's something about that as well. On a mundane level, meaning like on the earth and sort of earthly experiences, we might see AI coming in and making more disruptions around work, the workforce and employment. And we might see some natural events happening like flooding, extreme weather, which I feel like all of that is always happening these days. And eclipses are pretty notorious for bringing down people that are very visible, leadership falling, and also misinformation requiring discernment. So I think that we're probably still going to be in this kind of confusion mess with everything that's being revealed right now, and really having to implement ways of cultivating discernment around that. And I would also apply that not only to like the media and information that we are being fed, but also what you're tapping into spiritually. If you are an OG listener, then you know I love diving into the medical astrology side of things, how the stars, planets impact our bodies and the plants, and how we all can work together. And speaking of which, as I'd mentioned in the beginning, Sage's class on astral herbalism is going to give you such a beautiful foundation, and he's offering this for free. I'm telling you, go sign up. It's amazing. And then you can come back here and say, oh yeah, I totally get it now, Venessa, the importance of this. So we're going to dive into very briefly some of the medical astrology and some astral herbalism as it pertains to this particular lunation and this eclipse. So we have Virgo. It's a Virgo eclipse and a Virgo moon. The element of Virgo, which very important to understand the elemental nature of the plants and our own constitution and what makes us up, specifically your big three. And I touch on this actually in the podcast episode that was just 1 week ago. Your gifts are the revolution. So go check that out. But we have an earth sign here. Earth. So think roots, earth, grounded, practical. And in terms of the tissue states that are connected with Virgo and with that earthiness, we might have tension. Tense tissue is the state when out of balance. Okay, so when I talk about the tissue states, it's really in terms of the energetic system of traditional Western herbalism. And what I'm looking at are when the state is out of balance, what do we tend to see in each particular sign? And of course, we're a mix of a bunch of different signs, but what is the primary? And your sun, rising, moon are so important in relation to this, especially your moon. So your moon, because it's so much related to all of the bodies, with Virgo, we see the potential for stepping out of balance and into tension, tense tissue state. Nervousness is a big part of that. And the body systems in connection with Virgo is the digestive system, the gut, the abdomen, the intestines, the gut-brain intelligence in particular, because the ruler of Virgo being Mercury, and Mercury in connection with the mind and the brain and the nervous system as well. So the gut brain in your gut as a primary or secondary, I see us as having three brains actually. Our brain in our head, our heart brain, and then our gut brain. And this whole solar complex plexus here that we have, that most of the information that we are perceiving is perceived by our heart and our gut and goes up to the brain versus topped down. Now, of course, we have it bidirectionally, but we have more inputs coming in from the bottom up. So this is incredibly important to look at this gut-brain intelligence and this gut-mind connection. I see this a lot with Virgos as well, and a tendency to have sensitivity in the digestive system when out of balance. We can also see some lower liver issues, and this specifically with regards to the purification functions of the liver, because Virgo is very much connected with the concept and the phenomena of purification and very detailed work with purification. And so that is the liver, that part of the liver. So any part of the digestive system that may go awry in that way, for example, digestive enzymes, absorption and assimilation issues, spleen issues related to Virgo here. Also nervous system, as I had mentioned, but as it pertains to the digestion, the digestive system, which is really important because so much of our nervous system is also connected there and informed, the rest of our nervous system informed by what we are perceiving through that lens, through our gut brain. So those are all really important elements to be aware of as it relates to the body systems in connection with Virgo and Mercury as well. Now, imbalances with all of that, you can imagine, would include digestive issues. So indigestion, any kind of weakness with the intestines or digestion, diseases in connection with digestion, for example, ulcerative colitis. We can have bowel syndromes, irritable bowel syndromes, IBS, so constipation, diarrhea, and alternating colic would also fall under here. We see colitis and ulcers, especially with the nervousness, and if there's a little extra fire there through other means, then we definitely can see ulcers and reflux, acidity and reflux. Now, that nervous system, that sour stomach kind of experience we also see in an imbalanced Virgo, nervous stomach and indigestion, like it's typically caused by emotional upset and emotions stored in the body. So really important. I feel like this Jupiter in Cancer is assisting us with this Virgo lunar eclipse to feel all the feels so we can finally heal it. Allow the emotions to move through. Emotion, energy in motion, right? Diverticulitis, we can even see parasites potentially here. And, worms, parasites. Also hernias. So physical disruption and experiences with the gut in that abdomen area we might also see. Before I get into the herbal component with Virgo, because so much of it is related to perception for Virgo, emotions and thought forms, what you're experiencing at a conscious and subconscious level, very much impact. I mean, that goes for everybody, but I tend to see this a lot with my Virgo folk, is that they carry so much, they're thinking about so much, like Mercury, the mind, with that it is a big contributor to bringing things a little out of balance and needing to often bring a softer perspective on life because of the gripping, because of the potential like perfectionist tendencies that I see as well. So bringing in that grace, that softness, that yin, and that perspective, that kind of perspective on life beyond the more structured, detailed, granular, or like perfectionistic or this or that type of tendencies. And also creating space for your healing through your organizational gifts. So it can bring a sense of peace and calm to have a clean house or a room or a filing system, or, the files on your computer or whatever it may be, that could be one of the things that reduces the load, the cognitive load that can really cause one to feel under pressure and out of sorts. Also, Virgo is very much service oriented. So being able to be of service, to contribute in some way, to pursue a healing service oriented discipline. Hello, my healers. So many of my healers in the group have Virgo, whether it's one of their top 3, like the big 3, sun, moon, rising, and or it's their 10th house, or they have like significant planetary placements there. Like Virgo is, I'll speak for myself, for example, I have Virgo is the ruler of my 10th house of career. And so a big part of what I contribute to the world is that healing. And I started off as a holistic health coach and a clinical nutritionist and herbalist. So working in that way. I have some others in mind that also have Virgo 10th house. And one, for example, is a farmer and works with community gardens. Another is very much a writer and weaves her healing gifts in through her writing. So you can see how all of that weaves together. And it's really important to align with what your design was here to do and be. And that itself can bring so much healing, right? Because a lot of the disruption and the nervousness or just the dis-ease can come from misalignment. So that's one of the big things that we actually focus on inside of my community Bloom for all of my intuitive women healers out there. The Intuitive Clarity Lab, it's a 28-day sadhana that I have inside of there. And it's available for the lower tier, $11 a month. And you get access to these teachings that recalibrate your frequency and your intuition so that you are fully aware of what is you and what is not you. That builds that discernment muscle and anchors you into your intuitive channel without having to do a lot of the harder, longer things that we think we need to do in order to do that. Because let me just remind you, babe, you are already intuitive. You already are a channel. You already have these gifts. You don't need to be anyone else. You don't need to do anything else. So it's more about releasing what is not you. And get that stuff out of the way so that you can feel more aligned in your everyday. I should go back and listen to that because it sounded like a nice tagline. Come on inside of Bloom. And you'll find all links in the show notes for that if you want to come join us. All right, so coming back to these herbs, I have herbs for my Virgos here and for all of us really, because the Virgo herbs, most of them are nervines, and Lord knows that we need some more nervines in this time. And always, I've been saying this for like the past, oh my gosh, since COVID, I've been really hammering this out. I feel like always, it's now like an essential part of our everyday herbal toolkit. So what does that look like for Virgo? A lot of the aromatics are really beautiful. So lavender and peppermint and thyme. We can also bring in some skullcap is like my forever favorite as a nervine that is just feels very grounding as well and can be really great for Virgo. Fennel is a really lovely one, like cooking with fennel, the fennel seeds for digestive, like just chewing on the fennel seeds on an empty stomach or after postprandial. So after a meal can really help get the digestive fluids going and to calm any gas that might be coming up, which can be a tendency for my Virgo folk as well. Fennel is an amazing, gentle carminative that's going to be really helpful for the digestive system in general. So add it in any and all ways that you really love. And I would say also valerian. I would throw valerian in here for those who maybe need a little bit more support with sleep, with your sleep. And anise. is another one. Like, again, it's similar, right? Like that fennel flavor and anise, and then some of these aromatic herbs. There's something about that gut brain connection, and also the olfactory system and the smell of these beautiful culinary herbs and aromatic herbs that are just like so yummy for Virgo, because we know that Virgo also loves, like, you know, especially my Virgo moons out there, but so many Virgos like love their food, love the potion making and the medicine making and the herbs and getting all up in it. Right. So make sure that you bring that in. Oh, and I'll throw in like milky oat and Avena sativa all day, every day. I say this every single time, but it's just like always in my kitchen and my toolkit. Okay, so let us now dive into the Akashic Oracle All Signs reading. I'm so excited for this. And I am going to share, I'm going to be pulling from the Wildwood Tarot. I was thinking, for my Virgo babes, which one feels delicious? Which one feels nourishing? And Wildwood Tarot popped up, so let's get into it. And for the record, the way that I do this is I open up the Akashic records for the collective. And please know that this is all based on your permission, all right? So I'm opening up for the collective of what wants to be seen and brought through. Take what resonates, leave the rest. This is not prescriptive. This is really these are channelings meant to support you. So, and I'm speaking to like thousands of people. So some of the components that I'm bringing through for your sign may not feel super relevant, but other aspects do. So just pay attention to that. Okay. And I would tune into your rising sign primarily, as well as your sun sign. You can tune into your moon sign as well, but let me give some caveats. Your rising sign is that is going to be most relevant as it relates to your actual experiences in the mundane world, because our rising sign is the avatar on Earth School, our personality, the role that we are playing here. And so the entire house system is built based off of your rising sign, your ascendant. Now, your sun sign is connected to your soul essence, who you are at the core, your that solar energy as a solar soul being. And so if your life is more aligned with that, then you might find more resonance with your sun sign. And I find that as you get older, there seems to be more relevancy with your sun sign. At least that has been my personal experience. However, I also have my lot of fortune along with my sun sign. So wherever you have your lot of fortune could also be seen as like a secondary rising sign. Just, some astro tips for you. So that's another way you can look at it, is like, oh, what is the sign of my lot of fortune? If you want to make this super juicy for you. And then your moon sign is more connected with like your home and place and also your body. So when there is information coming through in connection with your moon, it has more to do with like, moving, or your place in life, or your home, or where you feel at home, and also in your own body. So that's just another way to look at this. Okay, so with that, let's dive in. I'm gonna choose a card for Aries. Aries, we have the Knight of Bows Fox. And for those of you tuning into YouTube, I have the beautiful image here. Okay, so take a screenshot. Knight of Bows, let's tune into what this means for you. Cunning, crafty, playful Aries. What I'm getting, is this little fire fox. And there's a special personal tenderness that I hold in my heart with that for personal reasons that maybe someday I'll share. But there's something really special about the fire fox. The fire fox is highly creative and crafty, intelligent, and moves nimbly, quickly. So there's this sense of movement here for you, Aries, and your ability to utilize those gifts that you have of that creative intelligence. I'm even thinking of Pallas Athena here. The creativity, the craftiness, and being able to use your senses. I'm being shown the eyes and smell, sense of smell, the sensitive hearing, really attuning to your senses, your subtle senses and the physical senses to guide you, to provide information on things that you can't necessarily see with your physical eyes just yet. And so that, like, I see the nimble feet, the paws of the fox moving through almost unnoticeably. So I feel you doing a lot, moving a lot, getting a lot done, but maybe not fully being visible just yet. It's like this, it feels like a liminal space, even when we tune into fox spirit energy. Fox can be very agile at night as well as in the day, can stay hidden, and usually shows up in those liminal spaces of the day. And that's what I'm getting for you too, is like, this isn't necessarily like this, not to say this is for everyone and not to like shine your light and be completely visible right now. But what I'm getting is that it's almost like the things that matter most are the things that nobody else can see that you are doing or working with, whether it's internal or external. So there's something about that. And it's also, I feel this in support, like this is an individual path, like this is for you. A lot of the things that are on a personal level significant, but also I feel it being supportive for like the clan, the tribe, the group. And I like, even on a small level, maybe even for your family, for example, like who is in your den, so to speak. Because, okay, yeah. And so that feels like the contributions and the actions and the things that are like the subtle things that you're doing that aren't necessarily seen or obvious or visible are contributing to that. But what I'm also getting is that there is also the potential for when you are not in alignment, when you are forcing yourself or overburdening, like taking on too much, and also isolating yourself too much, like being the lone wolf. Instead, it feels as though there might be some disorientation for you that follows that. So maybe some displaced fear, like a reactiveness, and maybe some like protection or scarcity mindset. Like I just feel there's other stuff coming in when you are not fully following your heart and aligning with what is supportive for you and your soul and your those in your den is like what I keep getting, those that you love that are closest to you. And you'll know, like, trust that you will know what is and what isn't, because one really does feel like force, and it feels like you lose your life force energy and vitality when, and when you are engaged with that. But what I just got is that doesn't necessarily mean, like, let's say, for example, it's a job and you're like, oh, great. Like, that means I got to let go of my job. Maybe this is a Virgo lunar eclipse with the South Node. However, it could be losing the perception and the mindset around that particular job, not necessarily the job itself. if that makes sense. Because your perception, babe, is everything. It's everything. So I think before you cut any ties, and not that you need to, because I feel like with this eclipse, like things are just going to happen anyway. But before you take massive action or big decisions, which I wouldn't really advocate for anybody to do that like right smack during an eclipse, but you do you. I would say before making any drastic decisions or actions like that, tune into your relationship with it, your perception. Can you shift mindset? Can you shift some things on the subconscious level pertaining to that versus the actual thing itself? Because then things will, it's like the way that I'm seeing it is when you can do that on an internal level, then the outside structures start to recoordinate and align in a way in accordance with what is in the subconscious and on an energetic level, on the subtle level, if that makes sense. So I hope that's supportive for you, my lovely fire foxes. So much love to you. Taurus, we are tuning into your rising and or sun sign. And we have the Archer. The Archer. There's the card. If you're on YouTube, take your screenshot. Okay, so let me tune into this for you. What are you aiming for, Taurus? Do you know? There's something here that is bringing attention to your will, your intentions, and the spell casting, the medicine that you weave into that arrow, into that bow. This is a tension point too. It's not about taking the action right now. What it feels like for you as aligning your arrow with precision, but from a place of empowerment, groundedness, focus, calm, certainty, conviction, and like you are just putting that will into that arrow. It's so powerful. And this is the most important work. It's not after you release the arrow, because then it's up to the fates, right? Like really in terms of where it lands and you know, the weather and all of that, the other variables that you don't have control over, but what you do have control over is how you release it. So I feel like you are in this tension point right now, and there is Uranus in your sign. Venus is exalted. Venus, the ruler of your sign, is exalted currently in Pisces. There's this sextile with Uranus and Venus playing an important role as well in this eclipse and lunation. It feels like utilize this energy, utilize your exalted Venus right now, plunge into those depths of your spiritual knowing, your soul origin, your medicine of what you have, your song, connecting in with that as you bring up your bow and you pull and you hold that tension with confidence. Again, it's not about attachment to the outcome of like where that arrow lands. It's not about having a super clear picture of what it is. Like, I need to know exactly what it is that I desire or where I'm going. But it's about knowing what you are aiming for and doing so with such intention that is grounded and rooted and confident. And knowing that you have support. Here, the Archer also has her two hounds who are there waiting to support you and bringing in what it is that you desire and also what you intend to bring forth into the world. So right now it's about holding the pose. Like in our yoga classes, that is the yoga. We are holding the pose. And can you do so in a way that's like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the work, right? And going even deeper and deeper and deeper into the trust I'm hearing, deeper into the trust in yourself, in that your soul knows, your heart already knows. Your mind doesn't need to consciously know. So anchor in from that place and hold the pose. This tension point, this tension is what will create the music. You know, like the strings of the guitar or the violin. This tension is what will build that muscle and will make the beautiful music that you are here to play for all of us. So that's what I'm getting for you, babe. That's amazing. The Archer, let us know how that lands before the arrow lands. Gemini, my Gemini loves, we are pulling for your rising and or sun. And you got the Ace of Vessels, the waters of life. Ace of Vessels, the waters of life. Look at that beautiful card. If you're on YouTube, take a screenshot. Okay, let us tune in to what this means for you. Okay, so obviously your guy, gal, is Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of your sign, as is Virgo. So this eclipse with Mercury as the ruler is very significant for you as well, and also as a mutable sign. Mercury, as I had mentioned, currently retrograde and hanging out in Pisces, the sign of their fall and detriment, through April. So for quite some time. This in Pisces, this is such an opportunity for, I'm hearing those of you who are ruled by Mercury, so my Virgos and Geminis, but also for those of you who have Mercury as your planetary time lord, which for your perfection year, for example. So if you know anything about perfection years, it's the age that you are. You can check based on your rising sign which house is going to be the most lit up based off of your age. This is a time technique in traditional Hellenistic astrology. And so then you can look at the lord of that house. So let's say you are in a Gemini perfection year or Virgo perfection year, then Mercury is going to be your guy for this year. And on a personal note, that's me over here. So anything that Mercury is doing is like extra for me, and I'm feeling it. I am so feeling it. But here we go. Mercury in Pisces, as I had mentioned earlier in this episode, there is such an opportunity here for riding those waves and those riptides with as much grace as possible, diving into the deep, deep waters, these Piscean waters, the waters of a life. What is available for you and for us through those waters. And I'm getting purification and cleansing, like through that review, especially through this retrograde period. I'm getting a cleansing, a clearing. I'm getting this for both my Virgos and my Geminis, a purification, a cleansing, a clearing with the sacred waters. And so Veda Austin, if you're not familiar with Veda Austin, I highly recommend you check out her work. She's brilliant. I love her. She is a water consciousness researcher, if you will, and she does amazing work. She just released a I think it's like one of these like sort of webinar. I think it's like 10 hours long. I didn't personally get to watch it, but it's coming through. I'm hearing it. So I got to mention it for you. There maybe is something there for you. The whole webinar is about the consciousness of water. So I highly recommend you check that out. I don't have any links. I don't know the links there, but just maybe Google or in YouTube, Veda Austin, and I'm sure it's on her website. There is something here about remembering the true nature of water and your connection now as Mercury is moving through. So it's almost like, I feel like there's a turning of your head toward the waters and your own sacred waters, your understanding of okay, I'm being shown a lot now. So communication through the waters in your own body. So the what is being said on a subconscious level in your mind, it's all being communicated through the waters. Okay, the water holds the consciousness and the patterns, and then thought as a form of water as well, that we all are connected with and attuned to. And so with an understanding and an understanding of the nature of water as it relates to communication and those connections, and spiritual communication and being a channel with Gemini and Virgo, in Mercury, you guys absolutely being a channel and communication is part of your design in some way. So there's something here around reclamation of the true nature of communication, with water being such an important component element, literally, of that. Also, I'm getting pouring forth the waters, the love, the emotions. I'm getting a pouring energy. So this may be in review of the emotional waters, your emotional waters, and working with them in this time, particularly with the retrograde, that this is a beautiful opportunity to do so. I also mentioned, the trines and the harmonious aspects, and with Jupiter and Cancer this is such a rich, fertile time to be doing this work, and I feel doubly so for you. So engaging with any work that really allows you to dive into those emotional waters and cultivate not just more emotional intelligence, but also the healing that wants to be done in this time. So maybe things that you thought, I already went through that. I already processed that whole thing in therapy, right? But I feel like there's some deeper layers here, and it's not about a redo. It's more about going deeper. So that you're oh, that's what it was about. I get it now. That's the kind of energy that I'm getting. So whatever that means for you, maybe it's, because I'm asking what are ways that you can do that and engage with that work. I'm getting journaling and writing, very much so for you, can be a part of that. So a therapeutic and sort of flow channeling style type of journaling. And then also recording yourself speaking and working through certain things, having a dialogue with yourself. So asking yourself questions, or maybe with another person, having them ask you questions, or maybe it is with a therapist or someone that you trust. But there's something here around those ways of engaging in that deeper investigative, emotional work through the modes of communication that I just described. So I hope that's helpful for you. Let me know in the comments below. Cancer, we are doing your sign, my love. Tune into your rising and or sun. And we have the hooded man. The hooded man. You could take a picture screenshot that over on YouTube. Okay, so let's tune into the hooded man for you. This feels like a beautiful still point opportunity for you. Now, in the traditional tarot deck, the hooded man would be connected with the hermit, with the lantern, and this is one that is being with all that is being revealed and communing with the sacred mysteries of life and the cosmos in privacy. You know, it's not like out loud or out there on the stage. There's something here around my spiritual warriors and seekers around when we are in a place where we have been seeking, you know, that esoteric knowledge and wisdom, and there's been a lot of energy of exploration, of movement, and then this like complex matrix of knowledge and mysteries that we might be engaged with. You know, we found and now we're engaging with it and we're like, whoa. There comes a time when there may be a disorientation and like there may be some moments where the intellect is confused because it's then confronted by deeper understandings that really bring to question some of our understandings of how the world works, right? Or what we thought was true. And then so much of that comes into question when we engage with deeper spiritual truths. And I know that so many of you have come to those threshold moments probably many times in your life already. And I feel that that can shake up one's reality. And rather than continuing to like push or to learn more, there are moments where coming into a time of stillness with everything allows for the processing and reorientation that is needed. And then also there's this light, this internal light, and the light of the divine, of God's source creation that is revealed, that we can work with, utilize, and allow to illuminate what we have not seen, or like what we need to see. There's something around also this still point of being a time to gather resources. So gather resources for your mind, mental resources, but also gathering resources in terms of nourishment, especially for nervous system, is what I'm getting in particular for you with this eclipse. There is also, I'm getting resources like any resources that make you feel steady and safe. So for some, that may be financial resources, right? Like making sure you have a steady and stable home and security in terms of safety and groundedness, rootedness in home, in your money and financial situation. So that absolutely can be with regards to the resources that's coming through for some cancers here. But this shining lamp also feels like it is shining a light in the darkest recesses of our minds, of our subconscious, of the fears that are there. And that illumination process allows us to finally see maybe what has been in the way, or gives us a greater understanding of the previous mode of operation in your MO. So the operating system that was playing like within the subconscious, and and also like on an energetic level. It's so interesting because I feel so much of the message that's coming through is it's not tangible, it's intangible. And that feels like the nature of this card as well. I feel though that they're like engaging with this energy and embodying Hermit will provide guidance toward like that light that guides you toward the doorway and the map. Like I'm seeing a map on the wall and then like I'm seeing the door, so that while you may be in a sense, maybe there's some sort of disorientation in terms, like I feel energetically, maybe not like with your mind, but it feels like there's something energetically that feels like it's recalibrating or restructuring or reorganizing for you. It could be very subtle, but that this light is then bringing some sort of comprehension and guidance to, like, by illuminating the map and the doorway for you to see. And again, it's not about taking the action or like leaving just yet. It's about staying open and being with the knowledge that is being revealed in this time, and working with that, because there may be some deeper truths that are still being revealed with this light. So be here for a minute, allow yourself to sit. I'm also seeing some of you sit with a candle and doing some candle gazing, or perhaps some gazing with a fireplace. So working with that light energy and that fire energy as well. This feels like it is part of this rebirth process for you, a rebirthing inside and out, inward and mystical, and yet also externally, outward, universally. And so part of the work here is also in, again, with the resources, I think like really supporting the body, so that in this time, like with this card, we see it's midwinter. There are the resources already available to you. And so engaging with those so that you are fully fed and nourished on all levels, so that when the time comes, when you come out of this stillness point or this energy, this hermit energy, and hermit, crab energy, I feel Jupiter is blessing you, us. I speak to myself as also a Cancer here. There's something about Jupiter blessing us by reminding us of our innate power for self-nourishment and tending, and that is what is going to sustain us before Jupiter moves out of Cancer and then into Leo, when there's the light, right? Much more light stage, like fire energy. And yet, in order to sustain that, we have to build and be with what is right now. So that's what I'm getting for us Cancers. I hope that's supportive for you. Let me know in the comments below. Leo, my babes, let us see what we got for you. Tune into your rising and or sun sign. And we have 8 of Vessels, rebirth. No biggie, just a rebirth. You could take a screenshot of that beautiful depiction and picture of the 8 of Vessels rebirth. Okay, over on YouTube. Let me tune into this for you. With your sun, the ruler of your sign in Pisces, and so much energy here is part of, with Leo and Cancer, since your rulers are the sun and moon, respectively, any lunation, any eclipse is going to impact you as well, because you are inherently connected with the luminaries, right? So what I'm getting here is like, hello, sun in Pisces, in that water energy. This is a spiritual purification and a rebirth process that is bringing so many blessings. Now, it's interesting because this eclipse is also about, I mean, this is part of a greater story that's happening here, but I feel like this eclipse is also about release. So I'm feeling like part of this rebirth process is what you are letting go, what you are releasing, the tears, the fears, the emotions that you've been holding on to, and the things that you thought you were going to take with you, but now you're like, oh, Mercury is kind of bringing a little bit more information around like, actually, we're going to leave that behind. And so illuminating that all happening in this rebirth process, I'm also getting, you don't have to do anything in this rebirth process. It's already happening. Trust that everything is working itself through in perfect divine timing, and how you get to participate in it is being a conscious, willing participant of the rebirth process. So what I mean by that is bringing conscious intention to create the space for you to be rebirthed. You know, when we put so much on our plate and life feels very crunchy in the sense of like, I don't have enough spaciousness, or I'm doing so many things that I hate, or that just feels misaligned. Now is really the time to create space and trust that in that letting go and that creating space, it's going to feel so good. And you're going to create that space for something beautiful to be born through you. This is such an auspicious card, but it really feels like so much of it is riding on this Pisces energy and being with the waters within and without in all ways. It's interesting because water has come up quite a bit already in our readings, and it makes sense, of course, with this Piscean nature. And I know we've been talking a lot about the fiery nature of this year with the fire horse and with Saturn, Neptune moving into Aries. And of course, you as a fire sign, but it's almost like in order to fully engage with and embody that fire energy in the highest way, we have to tend to the waters within. So that is your invitation, but it feels so beautiful. It feels really beautiful. And it does require release. So tuning into what that means for you. Let me know in the comments below how this lands. Virgo, my loves, this is your eclipse and lunation. Tune into your rising and or sun. And I am pulling your cards. So let's see what we got for you. Six of Vessels, reunion. Reunion. You could take a screenshot if you're over on YouTube. Okay, so tuning into this card. Oh my goodness. Well, there's so much here in connection with water. It's interesting because a lot of the cards so far have been water themed, and it makes sense. We got this Pisces stellium going on here and sun in Pisces. And for you, Virgo, this eclipse is happening on this axis here with Virgo and Pisces, and so much energy in Pisces. So what is happening in Virgo currently, and with that co-ruler of Venus, and Venus is in Pisces right now, exalted, there's something here around a blessing in reuniting with the truest aspect of yourself, of your mission, of the medicine that you carry. And that so much of it is connected in with the waters. I mean, you're the ruler of your sign is also in Pisces, doing a lot there. There's a lot going on here. There's a whole story happening in that area, in the sacred waters. And so this reunion energy that I'm getting is more of a reunion with yourself. The exalted version of yourself. It doesn't mean that who you are today is wrong, but what I am getting is that this part of this reunion energy is reconnecting with what already is within. And that is a remembering, right? But it almost takes your conscious participation and agreement and willingness to reunite with that. And that is setting you up for not just complete alignment moving forward in your life, but also so that the things that are meant to fall away are going to do so almost effortlessly. Like, it's not going to be a painful process. There's going to be such grace in all of it. But for now, especially this Mercury retrograde, I feel like there's this process that's happening for you of going in, not looking out for answers or for guidance or for signs. I mean, of course, those are going to come and those are beautiful, right? All of that is beautiful. But what I am getting is that the theme, the focus is inside. It's this reunion, communion within. And oh, how powerful that is. I'm feeling for you. And allow for any release that wants to happen, especially emotional release with the tears. And trust the process as well. I'm getting for some of you, this does involve somebody else too. So this reunion feels like the primary reunion is with yourself, your true self. And then it feels like for some of you, there's a secondary reunion with someone from your past, or like someone that maybe is not from your past, it's from your current, but like reuniting with a truer, deeper aspect of who they are. There's an opportunity to go deeper with that together in this story. So let me know how that lands in the comments below. I would love to know, Virgo. So much happening for you, babe, in this cycle. And this feels like a really beautiful, lovely theme and card to journey with. My Libra babies, tune into your rising and or sun sign. And we have 7 of Vessels, morning. So there's the card. If you're watching over on YouTube, you could take a screenshot. 7 of Vessels, morning. Okay, so let me tune into this energy for you. So much in connection with Venus. I mean, this is a vessel, so this is connected with the waters. So many of the signs today are getting cards in connection with waters. I mean, that Piscean stellium is like one of the biggest themes here, and the work that's happening there, that makes sense because your sign, the ruler of your sign, Venus, is currently exalted in Pisces, and there's a lot going on with Venus. Venus also being the co-ruler of this decan of this lunation in Virgo, the second decan of Virgo. So there's something here, but with the morning piece. Okay, so what I'm hearing is through this process, especially with this, when Venus and Mercury meet, there's something here around allowing yourself to grieve what has been lost, old versions of yourself. Tune into the earlier part of this podcast when I'm talking about the Nine of Pentacles and sort of that expression of this woman, very Venusian, this card and that connection with like the beauty and the abundance and connection with like the earth and the garden and all of that. And yet there's something that either she sacrificed or lost or she's alone in it. Like, it doesn't have to be sad, but there's something about allowing yourself the space to grieve and to mourn for what has not come to fruition just yet, or what you have lost in pursuit of something, or there is something here in connection with another. So perhaps a lover or a loved one. I'm seeing either a partner or a child. So there is that for some of you Librans. I'm also getting the loss of a dream or a vision, and that maybe it's not that it hasn't happened, but maybe it's changed. Maybe it's shifted. And so allowing yourself space to grieve, even if what you're moving into and toward is more aligned for you than ever before. But the general theme here is give yourself space and grace to be with these deep, deep emotions and all that is being stirred up. Venus is supporting you, exalted in Pisces. Like, you have the resources here to engage in this deep, deep work, spiritually, emotionally. Trust that. And surround yourself with people who can also witness you and hold you, because that reflection feels important for you as well. And I just heard dawning of a new day, that it is coming. And it's a really beautiful process to have sort of this sense of completion and release around something you've been carrying that maybe you didn't even think that you needed to process or release or grieve, and then yet here you are. But it all requires space and grace and your participation in it. So honor that. Honor the process of mourning. It's a kind of composting that brings that fertile nourishment for what you are planting and growing in this next cycle and season of your life. So it's all beautiful. And don't be afraid of the waters. Okay, that's what I have for you. Let me know how that lands. And would love to hear in the comments below if you're over on YouTube. Scorpio, my Scorpio babes. Tune into your rising and or your sun sign as I pull for... Whoa. Okay. We got 10 of Arrows, instruction. 10 of Arrows, instruction. So let me go ahead and tune in for your sign. There's something here around a completion cycle. Completion for many of you, so it depends. For some of you, it feels like student becoming teacher, teacher becoming student in like a new way. So for example, completion of, well, it could be literally like a certification or a program. And like now, as you're approaching the completion of that, you're moving into a new cycle where you've become the student. Again, we have these cycles, of course, right? And so there's something here around honoring those completion cycles and and which era and season you are in right now and fully embodying that. But also that even as the student, you have something to teach, like you're a teacher. So beginner's mind and eye, so valuable. So not to place any kind of value that it, like hierarchically, teacher versus student. I really do feel like they both bring something that is so needed. I mean, contractually in this connection, engagement together, like they need each other. So there's something here with that. And also I'm getting for some of you that in your student mode, for those of you who are like stepping into more student mode, you're going to be finding a teacher that is aligned for like this next evolutionary point in your life that's going to bring in like puzzle pieces. I'm getting like puzzle pieces. They're bringing puzzle pieces for you. So whatever that might be around, whatever it is that your interests are or what you're studying. And I'm also getting you as a teacher. Okay, so for some of you, I feel like you kind of know at a heart level that you are ready to get out there and teach. But maybe there's some parts of you that are saying, no, not just yet, or I don't know enough yet, or who am I to do that, or nobody's going to want to learn from me or listen to me. And just like all of that stuff is what I'm hearing. So I want you to know that you are being called forward to share what you have, even if it's informally with people that are in your circle. And what I'm getting here is like experiment, play. So perhaps it's like putting together a casual circle or a workshop that's fun and get your juices flowing as a teacher, as someone who's going to be sharing medicine and information. Like just sort of getting into that energy and practice and in an embodied way, I feel like is going to be really supportive for you, even if it looks small, even if it's like a workshop and 2 people show up. Phenomenal, amazing. That's 2 people that are giving you their attention. And if you're choosing, if there's like an exchange, maybe they're giving you their money, their resources, they're definitely giving energy. But the most valuable thing is they're giving you the beautiful tendril of their attention, which is like the most valuable thing. So embrace it, go for it. And those thoughts might be there, and that's okay. Like, go with it anyway. And let the evidence start to take care of some of those thoughts, so that you don't have to do necessarily like deep subconscious work before you do your first, hold your first workshop or circle or something like that. Or like maybe bring in something new that you haven't taught before and is maybe a little bit outside of your comfort zone or the comfort zone of your students or audience, etc. Go for it, babe. You're a Scorpio. Like we are here to witness you take us deeper, like to push our buttons and bring us to the edge, because that's your gift. Okay. So, I'm excited for you. Let me know in the comments below how that lands and what you're ready to step into in this cycle and season of your life. Sagittarius, my loves, let's tune in. Rising and or sun sign. Woo. The green man. The green man. So there is the visual. Go ahead and take a screenshot. Okay, so with Jupiter, your sign, in Cancer, exalted in Cancer, and it seems like Jupiter has been playing a pretty significant role in all of these lunations and in general. There's something here, like even when we look at the cauldron of this green man that he's working with, and those waters, it feels very Cancerian, having a cauldron there, a vessel with the water, nourishment. nutritive, making medicine. There's something here in reviving this ancient wisdom and connection to the natural world and to the sacred waters. There is this almost being with what is being tended to and stirred up, so to speak, in the Cancer part of your chart, but also simply through that Cancerian nature of tending to the inner waters and to nourishment, self-nourishment, and nourishment of others as well, especially those that are close to you. What I'm getting is this job that Jupiter is doing inside Cancer and moving through now at 15 degrees, so midway. There's something around this laying the groundwork and creating like the potion, right? You're the ruler of your sign is like making this potion that is going to sustain us and be a gift to humanity in the nourishment and remembrance of the sacred connection to Mother Earth, to nature and the Great Mother, and the sacred laws of the cosmos, like the spiritual and universal laws and forces that inform our world and our reality, and that we work with every single day, whether we are privy to it or not, consciously aware of it or not. It literally is a part of our everyday life, moment to moment. And there's something about this journey and this eclipse. I mean, Virgo too, being such a earthy sign, there's something around this Sagittarian quality of like the expansion of consciousness and wisdom and awareness by revivification of this ancient understanding and relationship with the natural world and the earth and the elements, the elemental nature and the cosmos. It doesn't feel so much in connection with, like, it's not as tangible, right? Like, it's not like something where I have a to-do list for you or like what this looks like in your life. It definitely feels like it's this part of a larger esoteric process that we can't quite pinpoint, but we can feel, like it's the building of the mycelium under our feet, or like the growing of the roots, the tap roots. We cannot see it, but it's so much work happening under this surface. That's what this feels like. But ultimately it feels like, the green man is here to not just revive that, but to remind us of those deeper connections and to live in alignment with that. And that's what I feel our Jupiterian nature and the Sagittarian nature, like very much as a teacher too, of dissemination of this wisdom and understanding. But we first have to have that inner understanding within ourselves. So it feels like this is our opportunity to continue to stir that beautiful cauldron in this photo here. And perhaps for some of us, some of you, I include myself in this, to reestablish connection with the natural world on a day-to-day basis, like, communication, earthing, any way that taking, imbibing beautiful medicine, herbal medicine, like taking in the natural world in a very visceral and embodied way in order to help sustain us in our expansion of that knowledge and wisdom and consciousness, so that we can also then bring it forth to others. Because it feels like it's part of this cycle of, giving to the next generation, giving to others that are ready to receive this knowledge as well. Okay, so beautiful card. Again, it's like hard to kind of touch or grasp, right? But I hope this was supportive for you. And let me know in the comments below. Capricorn, we are tuning into your rising and or sun sign. Woo! This one just flipped open. 5 of Bows, empowerment. 5 of Bows, empowerment. Okay, so there's your card. If you're tuning into YouTube, take a screenshot. Okay, so let's tune into this for you. So this fire energy is coming alive in a very different way for you, especially with your planet Saturn entering Aries and now staying in Aries. Different vibe, right? Like, so while we have this stellium happening in Pisces, I'm feeling a lot of that fire energy enlivening you in a new way, in a different way. And sometimes there can be a contraction that comes with that. So I'm getting for some of you, it may feel at first kind of like, sure, like this contractive kind of energy. But that's not necessarily like inherently bad. It's not a bad, quote, bad thing. And that's where I feel like the empowerment piece comes in. It's like learning to work with this fire energy that is, right now it feels more internal versus external. So it feels like maybe a lot is happening inside. Maybe there is more clarity. Maybe there's more creativity, creative flow happening. Maybe there's more connections and just things literally lighting up inside of you. And yet it's not that energy isn't disseminated quite yet, or like you're not necessarily seeing it externally just yet, or maybe it doesn't need to be. So that's where this empowerment piece is. It's like learning to work with that fire energy within. And if it does feel contractive in this time, kind of taking a moment to be with that, like what is contracting or retracting? Because it may be a part of you that is ready to release or sort of like a new belief coming in. And so doing some subconscious alchemy work with that. But ultimately that empowerment within oneself, with that fire energy, you are here to carry that forward for others. In kind of like you have to embody it first in order to be the teacher, right? Like to be a true teacher and disseminate it on an energetic level and frequency level first, because it's not so much about the words that are coming out of your mouth or what you're writing. It's your energy. It's your frequency. And you know that. And I feel that it's also the long game. You know that probably more than most of us, with Saturn being your guy. It's really about the long game, and rather than short-term gains and goals. So anchor into what is that long game for you? What is that you're ultimately wanting to pour forth in terms of your wisdom, your creation, that fire energy that is now being stoked within you, and being with that within yourself first. Cozy is what I'm getting, and yet it's it's incredibly powerful energy. So I'm not saying don't share it yet, or don't disseminate that kind of fire energy. But what I am saying is, what feels like primary and priority is that inner being with it, and cultivating the ability to wield that fire and be a fire worker and fire steward in the highest way, so that you can just simply embody it and walk through in a grounded way for others. Because I feel that part of your gift is in taking these energies that otherwise might be combustible, right? Like, I don't know what to do with our bell, and then it like dies out. You are here to be like, no, this is how we work with it in a beautiful, respectful, sustainable, regenerative way that is going to honor everybody involved. And I feel like that's part of the role that you have here today with this lunation. And, you know, and I'm being shown this is going to look in many different ways in your life. So for some of you, this is going to be in relation to your family dynamics. For some of you, this is going to be in your partnerships and relationships. For some of you, this is going to be in your work or your community. So, and in health, I'm also getting as well. And so paying attention to how it's showing up and know that you are being supported in your firework. So let me know how that lands for you in the comments below. Aquarius, please tune into your rising and or sun sign. And we have Knight of Arrows, Hawk. Knight of Arrows, Hawk. There is the image. If you want to go over to YouTube, take a screenshot. It's beautiful. Okay, so let me tune into this energy for you. Well, Aquarius, you are absolutely part of the story with our last eclipse, with the solar eclipse in your sign. There's so much there. And now we've moved into this Virgo lunar eclipse and a lot of Piscean energy, which I'm seeing in this card as that river that is flowing through. But you're that hawk's view. So in true Aquarian fashion, having this ability to have like a healthy detachment and a bird's eye view, that star energy of seeing from above, seeing the full picture, not being mired down and kind of brought into the thick of the mix in a way that you lose your vantage point. You are steady with those hawk eyes. And the beautiful thing about this too is that you're able to bring that awareness and that understanding, that higher vantage point to others who maybe don't have access to that quite yet. And being the communicator with that. So not only being our eyes, but also being able to communicate what you are seeing in a way that allows people, to understand it, even though they don't necessarily have access to those same levels of awareness and witnessing consciousness that you have. And so that I feel like that's part of your role in this lunation. We also have the ruler of your sign who is in Aries right now, Saturn with Neptune. And so it's almost like when we have that combination and Neptune at play, there can be a kind of obscuring. And like with eclipse energy, we absolutely can experience that. Like there is a nebulousness that can happen that, you know, Saturn isn't quite into, right? Like Saturn likes the clear vision. Saturn wants the plan and the structure. And so there's something around working with this liminality and still maintaining hawk eyes. So the greater picture and the precision of on the ground precision vision amidst this cloudiness that the collective is in, if that makes sense. A lot of us are doing deep emotional processing and work and connections with, you know, the spiritual realm and the unseen. There's a lot of like, what is even real? And I feel like part of what your gifts and that you are bringing here is that you have this ability to discern and to see in a way that is really supportive for the rest of us. And so anchoring into that and like get curious about what do you see? What are you witnessing? Can you communicate it to yourself and then to others? And don't downplay your perception just because, and like take it for granted just because maybe it's easier for you to see. I feel like a lot of times people just take for granted, like, oh, well, wasn't that obvious to everybody else? And no, it wasn't. And so what might that be for you is what I'm saying. And can you bring that forth as a messenger? And the omens that you are also witnessing, I'm seeing like hawk energy in terms of omen and divination. And so the foresight, being able to see and to divine. And so if you do that type of work, also to share that with others in which you are perceiving and receiving. I hope that's supportive for you, Aquarius. Let us know in the comments below. My dear Pisces, my goodness. So much in your sign. Please tune into your rising and or sun. And let's take a look at the card that is coming through for you. 10 of Bows. Responsibility. There's the card. If you're tuning into YouTube, you could take a screenshot. 10 of Bows. Responsibility. Oh, just looking at that card, it feels arduous, doesn't it? Let's tune into this message for you. Well, first of all, I feel like for some of you, you are being asked to let go of some of the responsibilities that you have committed to. And even if you're feeling like, no, but I made a commitment and I like want to save everybody, check yourself. Where are you holding too much? Where does it feel heavy and weighty and not in a good way? Where are you taking on responsibility that is not yours? There's something here. I mean, there's so much happening in your sign right now with this planetary stellium and the sun being here with this eclipse energy. But you have your exaltation ruler in the sign here. You are being supported as you're moving through like really big stuff. But again, this is a South Node lunar eclipse. This is about release and letting go. And not that you have to choose or force, because let's be real, the fates, especially with the Morai and the fates ruling this lunation, things are probably going to take care of themselves. But it's always best if there's a willingness and conscious participation in the process, right? So that it doesn't feel as contractive, I'll say. Because what I'm getting is you're holding a lot on your shoulders, or maybe you think you need to. Maybe there's this tendency, right? Like I keep hearing this, like, I need to save the world, or I need to save others. And so this savior victim complex and consciousness, this is not serving you. You're not here to save anybody. Nobody needs to be saved, actually. And I know that can be argued and people may not agree with me. What I do feel is that there are people that need to be advocated for and protected and supported and provided for and safety, but not saved. Because what happens is that saving energy, okay, so this is coming through for you. The saving is not our responsibility as humans and souls on this earth. That is for God, source, divine creator. They are the ones that do the saving. And it is in accordance with each individual and their relationship with the divine. Your job, your role, is to be a steward of that grace and of that energy. And so really shifting, because what happens with this energy, especially at a subconscious level, when you engage with savior energy, it's not, quote, clean. There's always a contractual component to it. Feel into it. And notice, I mean, so much of this is happening at a subconscious level. It's not like you're thinking, I gotta save the world. Well, maybe you are, but like I'm getting for most of you, this is not something that you're consciously engaging with, but it may be something that has been brought forth as a residue from past lives, parallel lives, inherited from family systems and ancestry, your origins, societal perceptions, etc., like traumas from early childhood. There's a bunch of stuff that can be at play here in connection with that. Maybe you felt like you needed to be saved and you weren't saved. This is really big stuff to engage with, and like the reframing of that and the alchemizing of that. So, are you willing to engage with those deeper inquiries and releasing any sense of so-called responsibility that is not aligned, that is not yours, that is not of this moment and time? And what that does is it frees you up. It frees you up to fully be resourced and provide what it is that you are here to provide. And that's different for each individual. So, not necessarily easy work or something, this can be very confronting. Or maybe you're like, oh, relieved. Thank you. Maybe I just that's what I needed to hear, or it's confirming what I already know, or, there's some sort of permissioning with that, even though of course you don't need my permission for anything or anybody's permission. So tune into that for yourself and trust that, so interesting, this image, because it's like this guy is struggling to carry all that shit up that mountain, into the community that's up there. And what I'm getting is it doesn't have to be so hard. It doesn't have to feel so arduous. And in fact, it would be more efficient and supportive for all parties involved if you just let go of some of those bows and arrows. And this could also be I'm just getting more for you. This could be projects, things that you are taking on that you're like, oh, but I thought I wanted to do this, but it's just adding to the weight, but not contributing enough or aligned enough to make it worth it. So it may not be so clear cut what it is that you're carrying that isn't fully aligned. And that's where taking some time to be very honest with yourself and maybe talking with somebody, talking it out or journaling it out can be really supportive. I'd love to know, how does this land for you? Let me know in the comments below over on YouTube. And with that ends our Akashic Oracle readings for all signs. I hope that this was so supportive for you. If you love this and you love engaging with the Akashic readings, you want more support, more community, come inside of our community at Bloom. All links are in the show notes. This is my intuitive women's healer coven, and it's so beautiful and yummy. So come join us in our little corner of the interwebs. And don't forget, sign up for Sage's mini course on astro herbalism. It's so delicious and wonderfully done, and it's free. So link is in the show notes, and I will see you next time. Until then, take care and be well.